Booga laka booga blah 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 blah.
Okay, guys. There's a wacky dude who we've talked about on this channel before. His name's David Ramsey. And he's a wacky guy. He's a wacky guy. What else can I say? And I came across this video where this kindly older lady, it sounds like, calls in, and the video's called, "Dave, my kids have turned into socialists."
Very well. Thank you to Kelly for taking my call today.
Sure, if you got by her, your life's good. What's up?
That's a good move, Monique.
So I am looking for some guidance from Dave and Dr. Delaney about my will. I have two daughters, one of whom is doing very well financially. She and her husband are in the 1%. And the other daughter earns about $50,000. And for several years, I felt uncomfortable about how to, divide up the assets. I'm an everyday millionaire. But more recently, I've gotten to the point where I don't want to give either of them any money.
Why?
I feel like I've worked so hard my whole life. I paid for college for them. I've paid over $500,000 for college for them. And they've turned into socialists. And they just, but they have. And
Well, you sent them the wrong college.
Yeah.
Monique,
yes.
you're my favorite call maybe in 2 months.
Okay, not to get derailed, but his co-hosts are the best. Before we get into the real meat of making fun of this goofy video, his co-hosts are the best. They're just like the people you meet at offices, and you're just like, this is just like a kind of a mass-produced person. You're the best. You're the best I've heard all week. I mean, come on, not to give the guy a hard time, but let's inject a little bit of personality. Let's inject a little bit of originality, of materiality, of congeniality into. Why do I always do that?
I know we're all laughing.
No,
but
we're with you. We're with
frankly,
you.
I'm depressed. I'm very depressed about where I see my children heading, and I think I don't want my money to go to them. And I feel terrible about that.
You shouldn't. They're not entitled. They didn't hit the DNA lottery. They're not entitled. My children have been instructed since they were small that in order to get the opportunity to manage the money that God gave me to manage, meaning that I hand off the responsibility to manage some of the Ramsey fortune to them, they will have to be people of character. Socialists are not people of character.
Okay.
They're parasites.
I mean, I'm sorry, but let's just hear that entire sentence again. Just try to wrap your head around what he says here.
Instructed since they were small that in order to get the opportunity to manage the money that God gave me to manage, meaning that I hand off the responsibility to manage some of the Ramsey fortune to them, they will have to be people of character. Socialists are not people of character.
So let's just walk through this step by step. He's like, a God gave me money. And by the way, this guy, we'll read his whole biography, but he's a hilarious character. His whole story is that he basically over leveraged himself with a bunch of real estate loans. He had millions of dollars in loans for real estate, and he went completely bankrupt. This guy, totally bankrupt. And according to some of the stuff I've read from his fans, he's apparently said stuff like that. It really almost ruined his marriage and all this stuff because he went crazy with the real estate loans, and he totally lost his ass with a bunch of risky real estate crap. So instead of okay, look, I took a bad one here. I'm going to get back up on the horse and continue this because I am a God's warrior for making a lot of money or whatever. Or he really believes this sort of stuff that he's an entrepreneur and all this crap. He did not do that. Instead, he said, you know what I'm going to do? A guy who went absolutely plunged his guts out and lost his ass. I'm going to give financial advice for a living now. So that's what he does, and that's how he's made this like little fortune that he has, this little media fortune, is a guy who completely lost his ass doing actual entrepreneur stuff, telling people you should do entrepreneur stuff. So there's that. So that's how he built his fortune. And he's saying here, my kids, they're going to inherit my fortune. My kids. They have to do what I say. They have to like dance for me and please me, whatever. They have to walk with Christ or something to please me if they want to inherit my fortune, or they have to have character, whatever that means. Character according to this old doofus, this decrepit fossil, whatever character means to him, the feudal lord here, whatever it means to him, they have to have character to inherit his fortune. And then he goes right on to say that socialists, which he doesn't even define or doesn't even ask this lady what the context was, are parasites. Just saying this again. I'm going to give my kids are, let's just say, how could we say this in another way? My kids, who you might say, how's another way to say this? Who will literally feed themselves with my wealth that I got from feeding off those people who actually have to like go out and do a real job. But someone else is a parasite. Oh, he's like, I think I could probably do an entire show just on this guy. And by the way, he doesn't even ask. Like, he doesn't even ask what did they say? And this whole story kind of like doesn't make sense. I almost think they might like pay people to call into the show or something. But she says that one of her daughters is a 1%er and the other one makes about 50 grand a year, but they're both socialists, which kind of makes me think that maybe they're like Sanderinos or something. They're Sanders supporters. Like maybe they think like that I would guess if you're making 50 grand a year or if you're a 1%er, maybe you think that the healthcare system should change. Maybe you think colleges should be free. You're like a social democrat or you're like a New Deal Democrat.
Okay.
They're parasites. And so if my children are going to be parasites, I'm not going to finance their lives so that they have a reality show.
You just said, Dave, come on. Dave, do you have...
You have a mental health problem.
I literally in the previous sentence, you said that these kids are going to have to dance for you. They're going to have to reach your threshold of morality or of character. They're going to have to do a little tap dance to get whatever money you scammed off of these people who are just trying to get out of their college debt or whatever. Give Dave $129 and he'll tell you how to get out of your college debt. That's not parasitical at all.
Is there a way to put money in, let's say, a trust where they couldn't get access to it till they were, let's say, 70 years old?
Well, I mean, then they'd just be a 70-year-old socialist, right?
Yeah, well, but I'm hoping by then they will have kind of woken up.
You can. All of our estate is trust-based, and our trust is, we've done it from a faith perspective, not an economics perspective. But
in other words, what he's saying here is that his kids, he's holding a bunch of money to make it rain on his kids if they believe the same religion that he does, or they perform that they believe the same. I mean, it's like somehow like more parasitical than a parasite. Like I'd rather just have a parasite, like whatever, like a tapeworm or something. Is a tapeworm considered a parasite? Yeah, like a tapeworm or something. I'd rather just like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to use your body to survive. That's fine. But what if the tapeworm was like, I like all the same shows you do. And it's like eating I like everything you do. Yep. Because at least then if the parasite's just eating it, at least it's not lying to my face, this parasite of mine.
if they're not walking with God, they don't get to manage God's money.
If they're not walking with God, if they're not walking with God, they don't get to manage God's money. In other words, I mean, just, unless they pretend to believe what I believe. My religion. This is honestly probably one of the most like authoritarian, like, I mean, obviously from these kind of people, these kind of evangelical kooks, it's pretty obvious that this is what they're all about. But just imagine that. Hey, do you want all this money to like buy goods, like a house to live in to survive, and like clothes, and like to pay for your kids in college so they're not like poor or whatever? Then you have to say you believe what I believe. Free market. Blah, 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 blah. Good God.
Booga laka bluga blah 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 blah. And the establishment says, "Come booga shaka munda kunga kingo booga laka bluga blah 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 blah."
That AJ, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say his name on this platform. AJ, great improviser. He really was. To do that with that rhythm, also booga black, really good. He was really talented guy. Let's be honest. He should be back allowed on the platform. I'm just kidding. YouTube, don't ban me. It's a joke, okay? Please, YouTube. I need that trust money. I'll believe whatever you say. Booga black, blah blah blah.
It's what the trust says.
Really?
Yep. In no uncertain terms. And so,
I mean, every word in no uncertain terms. How could that be anything but uncertain terms? A trust that says, unless you believe in Jesus Christ the Lord, then you don't get the money. Okay, how? Yeah, I believe in Jesus Christ the Lord. Can you please cough up the cash so I could go buy a Jeep or something? How is that not uncertain? What are you talking about? And take that coach mic off. You're not a coach, okay? You definitely have like blaringly white New Balances, but you're not a coach. You got to give up with this coach crap, okay?
No.
Booga laka bluga blah 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 blah.
In your case, you could change that lingo and just go, when you become a capitalist, you get the opportunity to manage this money.
Monique, here's what I would do. I would.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay. I'm giving this guy a little bit of a hard time, but I mean, we've all worked with this guy. We've all interacted with this guy. Yeah, I mean, not to be mean, and it's not his fault. He's just trying to, make money off of this guy's crooked company that he started. Come on, guy, calm down, okay?
Take some time to distill down beyond the
Do
monikers
a
and the
book
labels.
report on Atlas Shrugged.
What? That's fantastic. Man.
Oh boy.
And I am not usually at a loss for words, and you got me on that one. Monique, here's what I want you to do. I want you to...
Little vague. He's like, Dave, you got me on that one. You said Atlas Shrugged. Let's go into a little bit. Have you read Atlas? No, but I gotta laugh for Dave. Good one, Dave. Put me in that trust, Dave. Yeah, I believe in Jesus. He's a cool guy. Give me the trust.
I've paid for all this stuff for you, and truthfully, I don't agree with the way you're living your life, and I'm not willing to finance that going forward.
Right.
And so it's up to you if you want to do that. I'm not being controlling. I just want to let you know that...
Again, this whole story doesn't make sense. Like, this guy's channel is absolutely bizarre, like in every respect. Though all these guys really want to be on ESPN, just like Charlie Kirk. This guy,
The muscular class.
they all want to be on ESPN, so they make their stuff look like sports. Everything looks like sports on these sports hole doofus's channels. But the lady even said, she's like, one of them is a rich person, the other one is like a working class, $50,000 a year person. These lazy people making $50,000 a year, and the other one's wealthy. What's going on here, buddy? Is this just for a chance for you to be an old crab apple?
I'm going to go ahead and do a reading of the will, and you're not going to be in it as long as you're living this way, whatever this way is. If your kid's a heroin addict, you sit down with them and go,
if you're living this way, one of you is making a boatload of money. This guy's saying, dude, only capitalism is good. Okay, one of them's making a boatload of money, and the other one's like, lower middle class. I don't like the way you're living. Oh, why? Because I mentioned something about Bernard Sanders, and you're a little goose-stepping authoritarian who, if I say anything remotely that you don't like, you're gonna, I'm cutting you out of the will. I mean, that's the only explanation for this. I'm cutting you out of the will. They said, I heard them say that drug prices should be regulated more. You're out of the will. Like, what is wrong with these people? I'm doing a real edgy commentary here and saying that evangelicals might be crazy.
I'm not funding your heroin.
But what you
with my
did
death.
that is unique is you articulated what that
I
meant.
actually would do that. I'm gonna, if I ever have a kid, I'll mandate in my will, like he does, for that you have to pretend to be a evangelical. I'm gonna do you have to be a heroin addict if you want to get this money, because then there's proof.
You're not vague.
Yeah, no,
right?
I'm very clear.
Very clear.
It's unbelievably detailed, and it costs $25,000
That's
to
all
write
Monique
the
to
trust.
be very clear.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, the legal fees on this were amazing, but I just, and then we get to have this meeting once a year where we revisit and go, oh, by the way, remember what we said? If you're going to manage money for God, this is what managing money for God looks like. First, you got to be walking with Him.
This reminds me of an amazing story. I was walking on the beach once, and I looked down and I saw 2 sets of footprints. And I said to the Lord, who's the other set of footprints, Lord? And Jesus said from on high, that other set of footprints is David Ramsey. He wants $129 for his course. Cough it up. Could you imagine you go into some meeting with some lawyers over some trust, and they're like, have you been walking with God? I need to see your Fitbit with all the steps and whether or not those are lordly steps, or you're not getting a dime from your dad's trust. We've created an insane, literally just a madhouse society. By the way, we're getting into real Matt Dillahunty type crap here, but the other thing that is so funny about these guys, these kind of prosperity guys, is look, the Bible's filled with all kind of crap, right? But that's how I would describe it. But there's a lot of socialist crap up in there, up in that Bible. I'm going to try to channel Patton Oswalt for this. There's a lot of fucking socialist stuff in there. And I'll just read you a few. It's pretty... No, it is impossible to justify any of what these idiots say with some kind... Why don't they just throw the Bible thing away? He who mocks the poor shows contempt for their maker. Uh-oh. I'm afraid to say this, guys. I think Dave Ramsey might be going to hell for his previous segment that he did that we just watched. Whoever gloats over disaster will not go unpunished. He who oppresses the poor to increase his wealth, and he who gives gifts to the rich, both come to poverty. Proverbs 22:16. And Jesus answered, if you want to be perfect, go, sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. And except for Dave, go to the jet ski dealership and get a fleet. And then when you throw a party at your house, force the caterers to not wear a mask because it'll make me uncomfortable to see them with a mask on. That's a real story from this guy. I also want to say, look, does financial advice work? I think yes. In many cases, it's I have some debt. I would need to figure out some strategies to get rid of this. Yes, absolutely. I think that's a good thing. Maybe some motivation to save money and gaga. Yes, of course. But just consider the source, I would say. Do you really want to give this guy views? This absolute scam artist, this con artist, this leap of faith, Steve Martin type snake oil salesman, fake religious goofball? No, right?
No. So let me explain something to you. No.
Thank you. He who gives to the poor will lack nothing, but he who closes his eyes to them receives many curses. Except Dave. Dave needs a new truck. Dave needs a new truck. Because 12 ain't enough. If you look on the Bible, there's this Bible called the NIV Bible, which is not including Dave version. There's a little asterisk on all this kind of crap about wealth and that give all your money to the poor and all this and help out the poor crap. Just give to them, basically. Don't tell them to go work, but give your crap to them. There's a little asterisk next to all this stuff that says, not Dave, though. Dave needs a water slide next to his pool, and that's going to cost you. Hey, Vern. Hey, Vern, it's me, Dave Ramsey. You useless parasites. This woman's daughters who both seem to work all the time. You're parasites, but my kids are going to do what I say if they want to suck up my money. Uh-oh, I pooped my pants also. And then, of course, the rich man walking through the eye of a needle thing. How does that thing go? It's more likely for a camel to learn how to sew or something than a rich guy to get into heaven. But what Jesus really meant by that was you got to teach these poor people how to scam people on the YouTube. That's what he meant. You didn't look at the footnotes. I'm getting carried away, but this guy is one of the most absolute, most horrendous goofballs on YouTube, I gotta admit. And he's wildly successful. Again, another, I would say more evidence for Crowder's Law. Another example, another test case, right?
No.
You have a mental health problem.
So a fun time where Dave Ramsey went ahead and tried to
Make pee-pee on socialism.
Very good. Well, guys, there we go. Just an absolute goofus. A little bit of a doof. I'm giving him a little bit of a hard time. He's a human being, right? He's a flawed human being with millions of subscribers who watch that. Who get advice that they could get literally anywhere else for free. You don't have to pay 129 bones on his back end of his website. You could get this advice anyway. Actually, I'll give you the financial advice that he gives everybody. I think I've done this before. I give it away for free on this channel. I'm providing a lot of value on this channel. If you're in debt, save money and pay the debt. So cut out some of those, you get an expensive coffee. Or no, don't do that. Eat at home. Make rice and beans. And work more. And you put that money toward paying the debt. That's it. Maybe start a business. That was another one. Maybe not just start a business, but start a business that generates revenue. That generates a profit. And then put that toward the debt too. It's literally, that's it. That's it. And if you want more motivation and stuff, you get that for free anywhere too. Talk to a friend about it or something instead of just coughing up some $129 to an evangelical nut job who forces his underlings who have to tap dance and pretend they believe the same religion he does to get employment or for his kids to inherit his ill-gotten gains. So yeah, up to you. Vote with your dollars, guys.
Make pee-pee.
And I will say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey everybody, and thanks so much for watching this video. Like all the other YouTube and podcast perverts, I now have a Patreon. Every week on this Patreon, I'm uploading 2 Patreon exclusive shows. They're like real shows, more produced, more edited. One of them is a behind the scenes show where I reveal all the secrets and YouTube scams that I'm doing. And the other one, I just reveal my innermost dark cringe secrets. And here you can get daily access to the audio-only feed. So if that's something that you are interested in, check it out.
On Patreon.
I'll put a link in the, what is the thing called? In the description, I guess. So thank you so much, even if you don't. Thanks for watching this video. I know it's hard to get through these things, but I appreciate you.